Hey, folks. Well, the Leafs, they're doing their thing. They're winning. They're losing.
Did he see his shadow again?
What the?
You're in the offensive zone. Your place for Leafs hockey.
Hey, folks. Welcome to the OZone. That's Coach. That's KD. I'm the Devo. That's Coach. That's KD. I'm the Devo. That's Coach. That's KD. I don't know. It's Groundhog Day. And we're here to talk all things Leafs. Listen, we're a little split here up in Canada. Sam says more winter. I understand Willie said spring was on the way, which is great. But in Quebec, I mean, poor Fred, he died. So that that's not a good omen. Anyways, how are you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing all right. Coming from Nashville, Tennessee. Got our Texas Tigers down here for a tournament. 2 ties to start it out. That's okay. Undefeated.
Yeah. Getting points. KD, how's the scene on the east side?
Well, actually, I'm downtown in the Ivory Tower. Here we go. And it is cold. It is cold. Winter is here. Minus 30 degrees. Not fun.
Yeah.
Is that cold?
Not great. Listen, folks, it's freezing here. Freezing, yeah. Before we get started, listen, hit subscribe, ring the bell, you know the drill. Like, share the video. This one's important. Share the video. Do it. Helps broaden the audience. Leave us a comment, we get back to you, or we edit in our content all the time. Of course, it helps us get better. You know the drill. Okay, sticking with the Groundhog Day theme. It seems that the more things change here in Leafland, the more they stay the same. Like always, the Leafs are off to a great start. Top 5 in the league in points, in point percentage. Pretty much like almost every other year we had in recent memory. Battling for second or third place in the Atlantic Division. First is out of reach, it seems. Jeez, we've heard this all before, right? Once again, it seems like it's going to be an absolute battle to get out of the Atlantic Division. Coach, what's going to end up happening this year? Is it going to be the same as every year? Please give me some good news here.
I wish I could. I don't know, guys. I don't see it. We, had a couple games here. The last one against Boston, pretty good litmus test for us, and really kind of came up short. Now, you can't judge things on one game, but guys, talk about Groundhog Day. We've been talking forever about the makeup of this roster, and it's an excellent regular season team. Excellent. Have the puck all the time. The other team's chasing all the time. All kinds of shots, all kinds of puck possession, all kinds of lockdown D when we had all those injuries. Goaltending's been great. But we know, we've said this forever, it's not about the regular season. It's not about the 82. Look at this team. Are we going to be able to hold off a really, gritty, hard forechecking team, big team, fast team? Like the types of teams we're going to see. I mean, we're really only going to see one team to start, Tampa. Can we beat Tampa? I hate to simplify, but that's what it comes down to. I'm not sure I see it. With this currently constructed roster, I know we're going to get into that later. Man, I wish I had optimism. I have optimism, but boy, that's coming. The angst meter is rising when we look at the playoffs. Man, I don't know. I mean, 54 years I've been waiting, and I think I might have to wait longer.
All right. Well, KD, any nuggets there that might turn that frown upside down?
Well, I mean, I think the core is, inching along and further along. I think they know what it takes to win in the playoffs now, where we probably could have said that 3 years ago. But I try to harp on it all the time. Are we playoff ready? The Boston game is a perfect litmus test as to where we are. Personally, I would wish we played Boston 10 times during the year, even if we lose all 10 of them. It'll show us exactly where we are, where our holes are, where we need to push through. I think Dubas knows also. I mean, I think one thing, I think he's sort of resigned himself to understanding that the strong, slight possession team that's great in the regular season doesn't work in the playoffs completely. And so I think through experience, I think we know where we need to be, or where the team needs to be come April. And let's just hope injuries don't rear their ugly head, because they have all year, or so far this season they've had a lot. And then hopefully we make the right tinkering and right adjustments to make. Because I do think that this team, with the right addition, will look quite a bit different come playoff time. So I mean, I think that's where the good news is.
Yeah, maybe. The scary thing is that Boston's looking to load up too. So we'll see what happens. But look, from time immemorial, folks, or at least since there's East-West structure of the NHL, teams have had to come out of difficult times. Look at the late 80s and 90s for the Flames, the Kings, the Oilers. They were always battling it out. They were literally killing each other in those series. So it's tough, but it is what it is. A team's got to break through. Hopefully, it's going to be the Leafs. Okay, Groundhog Day. Example 2. Matt Murray hurt again. KD, let's start with you. What do we make of the goaltending situation these days?
Well, I mean, we're kind of holding our breath again, right? Seems to happen all the time, and I mean, that's really what it comes down to. If you look at hockey and football, right? Like, you hold your breath when your quarterback goes down, you hold your breath when your goaltender goes down. And unfortunately, both guys have played well this year. Where it wasn't issues, we've seen issues before where injuries cause guys to get out of rhythm and come back and be out of sorts. That hasn't been the case so far this year. So fingers crossed, Murray is ready to go in a couple weeks, and he comes back strong and takes some of the pressure off Samsonov, and let's hope Samsonov stays healthy. So I mean, that's all you can do. That's all you got.
Yeah. Coach, we know Ilya is your boy.
You're my man, Ilya.
But he also faltered a little bit in Boston. He let in at least one really softie. You could probably call it 2. Yeah, sure. Don't we need a healthy Murray to hedge our bets? I mean, like, we can't keep riding this guy, right?
Yeah, Ilya is my guy, but you can't play him in 6 straight. Guys, in the last 3, he's been really good. He got on a roll, right? He came in relief, and then he had those 3 starts, really solid. But then he wasn't great against Ottawa, rebounded a bit, and then he wasn't great against Boston. He's a tandem guy. I mean, but we don't have another guy for the tandem right now. So yes, we need another goaltender. Is that Joseph Wall? Boy, that's a lot. That's a lot to ask of that guy. To be a tandem guy, to be a 50-50, I don't know. We need 2 guys. And if we have 2 guys healthy and playing, and we see who's hot going into the playoffs, that's all we could have asked for to start the year. Yeah. And we're not there right now. And so Samsonov, look, he's giving us good value for that contract, but you can't expect him to be, Grant Fuhr playing 70 games. Like, you can't. So, of course, we need something else. Like, something's going to happen. And you'd love to say, well, let's just address it at the trade deadline. Guys, there's a reason why Boston are sellers, and they can be, because they manage their cap better. We're capped out. We're going to talk about where we want to go and how we want to add. KD, you already talked about it. You can only do so much. I don't think you can touch the goaltending situation. It is what it is. Yeah. And unfortunately, we talked about, is it going to be different? Well, the goaltending is riskier than it's been even in recent years. So as much as we might improve the skaters, we're rolling the dice with either one of these guys. I don't know. Now my angst is up again.
Yep. Listen, I'll tell you a few things. You mentioned those 6 games in a row for Samsonov, and really he's a guy that whether you're riding him or not, you want him to be splitting the crease with another guy. Those were also tough games. I mean, there was 3 or 4 times where he was run out, He got hit in the face a bunch of times, mask off. Like, it wasn't like it was just 6 games. There was a couple times there where I was like, is he going to get up? Because if not, we're in really big trouble. They had Wall called up there for a game or two there as a backup. I'd like to actually see him in the show, not for a long addition, but just to sort of bring him up. He is, for folks who aren't necessarily following the Marlies this year, he's been on fire of late. And we know what we got in Shelgren. He can come up and perhaps spell you a couple of games as well. But in the salary cap era, to be able to find a goalie prospect, draft him, train him, bring him along your system, and get him into the lineup, that goes a long way with respect to sort of saving money and giving your other skaters on the ice a lot of. I mean, if it ends up that they move on from Murray in the off season and Wall is able to come and be your 35% guy behind Samsonov, and he works out and wins the crease eventually, that's not the end of the world too, right? So
yeah,
I know that's
St.
a long
Louis
shot,
way
but
back, right? With Jordan Binnington. They brought that guy up. He was in their system, came in and nailed it.
Every team seems to have a story like that. I can't remember the last time we did it, guys. Got to go back a long, long, long way. So it would be interesting to see anyways. Would you say Palmetier?
No, Fields Potvin, maybe?
Potvin, yeah, Potvin. Yeah. Okay, all right. Sticking with our theme here, last night's Boston winning. It didn't just expose our thin goaltending, guys. It added fuel to the fire, and I know this is the one that's probably going to get coaches' collar up the most. It's our current D makeup and roster. It's not suited for playoff hockey. In particularly the young Swedish pair, -3 last night. More importantly, Keefe is still searching for a suitable partner for Riley. It seems like he's been doing this forever. Talk about Groundhog Day, guys. This was a picture I sent to you on February 2nd, 2019. And look at this one. Still looking for a matchup for Riley. We got him playing on his wrong wing. To make things worse, obviously, we got Matthews out. Listen, the Leafs created a lot of chances. They couldn't convert. But listen, stop me if you've heard this before. Isn't this a bit of a broken record, guys? Particularly against an opponent like Boston in a playoff-type environment. Scoring depth seems to be an issue. Coach, if you're Dubas, what are you going to do moving forward?
A lot of talk about maybe adding Timo Meier, right? He's the best guy out there. And would he improve that second line? Oh, 100%. He also costs you $10 million, right? So I don't know how you'd possibly make that happen. You involve a third team, keep half, and then keep half again? Maybe. I don't know.
I think the cap hits 6, though, isn't it?
I think he qualifies at 10 next year. So basically, what you're saying is you can't afford him next year, right? So what
you could move him at the deadline as a guy that you can move his rights at the deadline.
Well, at this deadline or next, like you'd like that guy to contribute. Then you'd have to move him in the offseason.
Sorry,
you can't afford him going into next year.
Offseason, not at deadline. On draft day.
Yeah, in the offseason.
You can move his rights on draft day.
Yeah, but that's not the glaring weakness. I mean, the second line. So once Matthews gets back and we go in healthy, we're okay. Except, like you're right, those the Swedes, Liljegren and Sandin, both -3 against Boston, and it was the way they were. They actually were good moving their feet in the first period when it was pretty wide open. Sandin jumped in the rush. That's great. But when it tightened down in the second and third, and the Leafs had to play in their own end, those guys are getting out-muscled on pucks, in particular Sandin. But, they're Boston's big. They're heavy. It's going to be a problem. Tampa plays the same way. So we've been saying it forever. We're going to continue to say it through March 3rd, which is the trade deadline, or the 6th, something like that. We need to shake up the the D core. We need a guy that's a legitimate top 4 guy. Everyone then slots down. And if you're going to worried about hurting somebody's feelings, whether it be Liljegren on the right, if we had a right, or Sandin if we had left, can't worry about that. You can't. We need a stud. If for no other reason than to get 44 going, right? Riley's just not right. And so, I mean, we'll keep saying it's Groundhog Day, right? We'll keep saying it.
I guess so. What do you do, KD? Focus solely on the D? Do you upgrade the front too? Or, I mean...
Well, that's your first priority. Now, one of the silver linings that people haven't really talked about with that last game is, if you take a look at what happened, what Keefe did, he actually matched up 44, or Riley and Brody, almost exclusively with the top line. They played the whole game against them. So what happened to the shutdown pair of Giordano and Hall? Well, they only played in just under 60 minutes each a game. So there were also only 2 penalties a game. So they killed their penalties, so they did that. They were a +1. They were heavily, big, very positive numbers on advanced stats, Corsi and whatever. And they look good. So if the result is we do get that big defense and we push people down, then that's something we can look forward to, and that's I think very positive. So
yeah,
and that's exactly the minutes we talked about them carrying and playing, and they handled them beautifully against the best team in the league. So that's what you want. And if you do notice, we here at the pod here at the OZone, like, we do show support for Hall. Not his moving skills, but one thing he is a defender. He can handle the big players down low. He boxes out fairly well in front of the net. He can stop the cycle. That's the stuff we need come playoff time. We don't
He's
need
not
the
afraid to get hit.
Arju gets hit too much, but
he gets hit.
Right.
But he's not afraid to get hit. He gets hit more than anyone else in the league.
That's right.
So
we have
that's
that,
so
I think, right? He's been hit 40 more times than anybody else. We'll put that up. Nice.
Yeah. It's but I mean, that's the type of guy that we need. Ideally, he's puts the oven mitts away and he plays hockey, moves the puck a little better. But we do need that size and that physicality. Absolutely.
Yeah, a couple things. I mean, and maybe I'll put this to you. The name that keeps we talked about, a name for the front end that's been bouncing around, and it seems like a pipe dream to me. But we'll see. But a name that's been there's been some names that have been thrown around, but that the kid out of Chicago, McCabe, looks like he's intriguing to me because he looks a lot like Brody, right?
Yes.
He plays both sides, so it gives you some flexibility about what you want to do. If you're going to ride the hotter of the two hands of the Swedes, you move one down or one out, and you see what you want to do there. Or maybe he's able to come up and play with Riley. He's not overly big, but he plays the penalty kill. He throws his weight around. He blocks a lot of shots. The scary thing about this guy is that he's had some pretty gruesome injuries in the last 3 years, but he hasn't missed any time. So he smashed up his knee, basically ACL, MCL, the whole thing just gone. Didn't miss that many games the next year. Played 70 games. I think this year he's played 40. And he had a big neck surgery, similar to a problem that Muzzin's got. He's played 40 games this year. So those things scare you, but if he's playing, right? Here's another thing: I think he's a plus on the team with a pretty bad goal differential, and he's playing 20 minutes a night. So that's got to mean he's something, right? I don't know what, but I got to think defense is the number one priority if you're going to do anything. Riley's a strange potato. He's an all-star type D, but he needs a partner to unlock his potential, and we see that through the lineup. Anybody that we have plays better when they play with Brody, perhaps the most underrated player on the team. But the Leafs, they need to find that pairing for 44, and maybe we just stick with Brody because it has worked. All right. What else do we need to talk about? I mean,
I think you covered it all there, Mike.
I think we pretty much covered it all.
I don't
So
think
there you have it,
no
folks.
stone unturned, Mike.
That's it. We like to put things in a time capsule every once in a while, and we open it up a year later, and here we are again. Exactly where we left off. What's the point? I don't know. We just keep going around and going around. Let's hope and pray that it works out a little bit differently this year. Instead of the same, I don't want to go out in the first round. I don't think anyone else does too. But anyways, here we are, and here you are, right here on the OZone.
Don't drive angry.